The Great Reverse Grip Experiment, week 6 or 7, depending on how you want to count it. Today, we're testing out the idea that you can switch back and forth from forward grip to reverse grip during a fight, and that's what makes it effective. A lot of people have said that this is not its own fighting style. You're not sitting there fighting in reverse grip the whole time, but instead you are fighting in forward grip, and then when you find an opportunity, you switch into reverse grip and do something really cool. Well, we're gonna test today if that's practical. Now, you might notice that it's just me here today, and that's because I don't want to just jump into battle doing this. I want to test it first in a controlled situation, because honestly, I'm not sure this is going to work, and I just don't want to jump right into it and have it fail spectacularly. We're going to give it the best chance that we can possibly give it, so we're just going to work on grip switching today. This is probably the best thing to do grip switches with. It is a stick. It doesn't have a defined hilt. I can do this anywhere, and I don't have to worry too much about it. The way I'm doing this is I'm using my index finger and my thumb to kind of pop this up and around. And I'm using a little bit of momentum with my hand to kind of counterbalance it. Now, I don't feel super secure doing this. Like, if I had to move really quickly and do this, I might be able to do it. But then something like that happens. So this is a little bit precarious already, but let's just keep trying it. So I've got this switch. So I've got to kind of use my finger there. This probably means that I couldn't do this with any sort of hand protection on, even a thin glove. Well, not a thin glove, that wouldn't do much, but a glove with any sort of padding or a metal gauntlet wouldn't work for this. So, which means that if we're using in sparring with the long sword or any other thing, even when I'm doing stick fighting with this, I'm afraid that the gauntlets that we use won't allow us to do this specific switch, but we'll test that later. So. We got this. This is working okay. It still feels a little bit loose. So I'm gonna try a no finger one. I'm basically just throwing it and catching it. Switching this. And that's fine if I'm just standing here. I'm just standing in place. I can do this. See, I just went back to the finger one. Going down, it's really hard to just do the throw one. The other thing we'll notice about this is that it is perfectly balanced in the middle. So that's another thing we've got on this one. But let's say I'm trying to fight. So the idea here is that I can hit, switch, hit. That worked. Oh, that's gonna be an awful sound this whole time. So let's see here. I'm coming in, I'm getting close, time for reverse grip. Okay, I was able to do it here with that finger switch. Let's see if we can do it again. I've got a block reverse grip. It's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be with this stick here. So, with this stick, I can switch back and forth against the fake opponent when I know exactly when I'm going to switch. Pop, switch, and got caught in the middle. Let's try something else. The next step up from a stick, a machete. This is a little bit more forward heavy. Let's try it. Switch. Oh, now it's backwards. So that's something that the stick didn't show us. The stick has no edge. But now you can see I've switched this into, if I'm in reverse grip and it's forward, switch it here, it's backwards, so I have to add an additional flip. So I can't just, on the way down, it's actually pretty easy for me to pop it here and then come to here. But on the way up, it's not. So, cut, switch. That's so awkward. Swap. Ugh. This is significantly harder. Cut. So what I'm doing here is this is the 12 count pattern that I know best from Filipino martial arts, and I'm trying to incorporate this switch at some point in here, and you can tell. Watch this. Okay, that wasn't the worst. I can also do this. Well, pinch two parts and flip it over like that, but now I'm in the wrong direction. I have to flip it again. So when we have an edge, we have one more consideration when we flip it. Keeping the true edge forward. Okay, all right. Pop, switch, pop, pop. What if I Oh, switch to the other hand. Oh. Okay, I didn't think about that, all right? So I'm getting in close, and I gotta switch to the other hand in reverse grip. I can do that pretty fast. We'll see how useful that actually is when we actually do this in sparring. Based on the fact that we haven't gotten any of the reverse grip stuff to work on hand or off hand, I don't really see it being super useful. Like, what's the point of switching it to this hand? A lot of the times people say it's to get tricky, to confuse your opponent. I don't know about that. I think that the time it takes me to do that is a lot slower than the time it takes me to feint or do something else. But let's try it again. So, cut, switch hands. I am taking this serious. I'm trying really hard. Cut. I didn't actually change the angle. Cut. I'm in close. Stab. I guess I don't see the point of that though. There's nothing that I can do in this hand. Oops, it's backwards. There's nothing that I can do switching it to this side that I couldn't just have done faster on the same side. So let's look at the logic behind this. If I'm cutting this side and I want to switch hands to get to reverse grip, my options for cutting are here, here, and here. But if I'm here, my options for cutting are here, 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 as well, with a full reach. So I don't really, looks cool in the movie, but don't do that. Don't spin around and stab someone in reverse grip. It's bad. Okay, so the machete, it's not as effective here. It's got that little hitch in it. And switching to the other hand is possible, but so far I don't see the point. So we've got that. That's something. Let's move on. Getting a little longer. This is an espada. So I've got normal cuts with the espada. Feels really good, feels fantastic. Switch over here. This doesn't feel good. Let's see if we can switch the grips. So I'm coming in and I switch. Oh, that felt awful. I'm here, I switch the grip. Maybe it's like before I attack, I switch to change up the angle, but I could just do that. I'll be honest here that the whole premise of using this, like, it's not a fighting style, it is a tactic to switch into and use. We haven't found a situation where it was effective yet. There wasn't like a point at which it was ever effective, so the situation when I would switch into it seems like it doesn't exist. But we're trying this to see if it's even possible to do that switch. So far, that's awkward. The longer this gets, the harder it is to do that finger switch. It feels very cumbersome. I've got pretty dexterous fingers, but that takes so long. When someone's coming at me, and listen, if I'm out of distance and I switch, then I've ruined any surprise or anything else that I could be getting situationally from this. If an opponent sees me switch to reverse grip, then in their mind it's really easy to predict what I'm going to do next. So tactically there's not an advantage. So it's got to be something I can do like mid-attack, like that. And I can do it here mid-attack. I certainly can. But I'm not attacking like I normally would. A real attack. Oops. A real attack is fast. It's pop. It's, I'm coming in, pop, trying to switch. And this is, again, best case scenario. I have no gauntlets on. I have no hand protection, nothing in the way, no bulky armor on, no opponent trying to get me, just trying to attack quickly and switch. And I grabbed it like this. Now this even is a best case scenario because this isn't a proper guard. This is a training weapon. So its guard is a lot smaller than it normally would be. So let's switch again. So now we got a messer. This is actually a pretty well balanced synthetic. Those are They're not terribly balanced, but they're not really balanced much at all. So now we have this messer here. So balance should, see, it's backwards. The balance should mean that it's easier for me to switch, which is so awkward. I could switch like that. I have more room on the guard, so I'm not actively, the other one I had to actively kind of throw it because there wasn't a lot of room on the handle. So I couldn't just, I couldn't have two hands on it. So this has room for two hands, so I could theoretically switch faster. But now I'm holding it at the very end, which isn't how this weapon was designed to be used. And now we're back to, does reverse grip even work in the first place? So let's try it a couple times. So I'm coming in, I'm cutting with, just feels so wrong. Cutting with this. So I'm here, let's end. I'm struggling, guys. Cutting with it, switching. I got tangled up too, okay. Cut with it, switch. But why wouldn't I just cut with it and cut with it again? I'm not seeing a use yet. I'm really not. Okay, the katana, the one that I'm always told is what this style is used for. That it is a East Asian style that uses reverse grip the most. That's what I keep being told. So this is gonna be its best shot. How does it work to switch with a katana? Like that, or like that. So we're gonna treat this as a one and two-handed weapon. First, let's try and switch with it one hand. Oh, that's awful, and it's backwards. Okay, let's try again. I can still do my finger switch, but now I have a pronounced hilt in the way, right? So my finger switch works, but this is actually slightly lighter than a katana. Not much, but it is. And it's also already difficult for me to do with all that added weight at the end of this thing. So that's not helping me. I'm finding this is a lot harder, and I don't think that I could do it very well while swinging. Swing, switch. Swing, switch. But what's the point? Swing, switch. Or switch, switch, right? Switching in the middle of the fight just seems to be getting in the way of a fast attack. Okay, two hands. Maybe two hands is the method. Cut, switch, cut. Oh my gosh. Let's do it. That's the most reasonable way to do it, is just switch hands like that. So I cut here, boom, I switch hands, ah. So that's like, let's say this is two attacks, right? I cut in and I switch and I cut back. Or I cut and I cut. Granted, this is a little bit more awkward. It doesn't feel as good. That does feel not better, maybe less bad to come there, but my range is a lot less. See what else we can do here. So we cut, switch, cut. It's such an awkward, I cut and I switch hands and I cut. I had one up and one down like that. But that requires me to do that. Cut, swipe. Do it fast. I can do it. My hands were all over the place. Or, that feels a lot faster. And I'm in position for a third cut, or a parry, or anything. So if I'm here, and I cut again, my hands are still here, ready to do something else. Let's do that grip switch, ready? Cut, switch, cut. Now I have to switch back. My sword's backwards. I'm not seeing the point of grip switching, but let's keep going. Our test would not be complete if we didn't try the longsword. So first, let's try the normal grip switch. My arm's getting hit by the cross guard. So, pop, pop. Ugh. I just feel like the whole experiment is kind of moot because we already know that it doesn't work well once you get it here. if we're being able to switch for that one really hyper niche situation that everyone tells me is out there, but what if you're on your back, upside down, and someone's thrusting a spear at your chest and your sword's on the wrong side of your body and you have to, like that weird scenario that somebody built to try and prove that this could be useful. We have to switch into it for that scenario, right? Someone's coming at me with a spear and I want to throw my spear at them in this hand and my sword's in this hand, so I draw to block and throw, but you can't draw a sword off of one side of it. I'm getting into the weeds here. I don't see the point, but we're gonna try it anyway. So the grip switch here. This is a lot harder than the katana because I have that big cross guard. Let's try it from here. That works a little bit better. If I'm already like in a thumb grip, switching to there, all right? So I have cut down, switch. The problem I'm having with this is the momentum. If I am cutting, I have to make the momentum entirely stop to switch and then go again. If there's any residual momentum here, there's just a really good chance I'm not gonna be able to grab it once I let go. And I hit with a flat. I feel really dumb and awkward, if I'm honest. Here, switch, cut, I guess. So in that situation, I switched, I slid, and I cut. I could do it, but I don't see why I wouldn't just do a back cut. Like, here's the difference, right? Or one was significantly slower, and I felt like this didn't have as much reach. This is an experiment I'm going to come back to. This grip switching experiment for a number of reasons. One, because I think that I can't claim it doesn't work until I've practiced this a little bit more. This is why this is a year-long experiment. But initial findings from this grip switching experiment are that it doesn't make any sense. If I'm going from the premise that reverse grip is useful, we're gonna assume in this scenario, reverse grip has a use, and I need to switch over to reverse grip to be able to use it. There are ways that I can switch to reverse grip, but they're slow, and they put me at risk for dropping my sword in almost every one of these things. If I want to minimize the risk of dropping my weapon, I have to do them stationary, essentially. If I have to move, do footwork, or do any blade work while I'm switching, I'm very likely going to... I'm not being clumsy on purpose here. I'm trying to do this at speed with movement, and I'm just finding that there's so many variables going on that dropping it is very likely. But again, maybe it's because I haven't done it enough, so that's why we're doing this experiment. I'm gonna keep doing it. My findings for today, my conclusion is that grip switching totally from one side to the other is not very practical. It leaves you very exposed if you have an opponent who's actually attacking you. And then once you get there, which is kind of besides the point, you're stuck in reverse grip, which isn't super useful. Switching back is equally as hard. If you have a weapon that has only one blade, as in one side, and the other side is dull, now you have an additional problem where you have to make sure when you switch your grip, you switch to the blade side. So for instance, if I'm here and I switch this grip, I have to make sure when I switch it, I'm not backwards, right? If I switch to here, that's fine. If I switch back, it's upside down. If I'm here and I switch it down, now it's on the other side. So that's one more factor I have to think about that I wouldn't have to think about if I just kept my sword in my hand. I'm gonna keep exploring, but right now I'm not satisfied that this is a useful technique, grip switching with a sword from forward grip to reverse grip. But tell me what you think in the comments, you always do, and we'll see you next time on the Great Reverse Grip Experiment.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this or any of our other content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Your support allows us to keep creating shorts, fencing videos, and our major projects. When you support the team on Patreon, you get access to behind-the-scenes content, discounts on merch, opportunities to game the crew, and so much more. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date with all the fun stuff Sellsword Arts is doing. You can even ring the bell if you really feel like it. You can also join the community Discord and chat with the crew and other cool people with similar interests. And if you don't agree with something that I've said in one of these videos, you can always fill out the duel request form and challenge me to a duel so you can prove your point. You can find our Patreon and Discord link in the description. Additional links are in our bio. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you on the next video.